On a typically warm Nashville September morning in 2004, G.K. Naquin, then a 30-year veteran of the stone industry, stepped up to the podium in a large meeting room at the sprawling Opryland Hotel, and for 2 days captivated an audience of 110 stone fabricators with the most thorough industry educational program most had ever experienced. Over those 2 days, G.K. covered everything from the basics of producing and installing quality kitchen countertops to proven tips on how to run a profitable stone company. When the seminar was completed and the reviews compiled, it was obvious that G.K. and MIA had found a new calling: stone industry education.
And it was such a success, we just kept planning more and more events.
MIA+BSI Chief Executive Officer Jim Heeb, who was the association's special project director then, and worked with GK to craft the agenda, talks about the impact of the seminar and what it meant to the association's future.
We often look back to that Nashville seminar and reminisce that that is where it all started. GK was absolutely convinced that we could be successful with the regional seminar program, and he was absolutely right.
More than a dozen years later, the personable and knowledgeable GK is still talking. During those years, he has facilitated 40 events as part of the Stone Industry Education Series and at least 50 other sessions at conventions and trade shows. He was closely involved in the creation of a highly successful accreditation program and served as MIA president in 2011. He has never said no when asked to do something for the natural stone industry. For that extraordinary career, which continues unabated, MIA+BSI has bestowed upon him its most coveted prize, the Migliore Award for Lifetime Achievement.
What most people may not realize is that there are actually 5 educational programs being offered in the industry today that did not exist in 2003 until GK and our education committee at the time got together. They didn't just dream about the possibilities. They executed, they were innovative, and they made it happen. Because of GK and many others, their contributions are now priceless.
The story of this amazing businessman and individual began in the New Orleans rural community of Bella Chase. His father worked in manufacturing at a barrel company, and his mother was a waitress. While he was in high school, he met the love of his life, Linda Blanda, and they married soon after graduation. Linda worked for the highway department, and GK worked during the day and got a degree at a business college at night. With his degree in hand, GK joined his brother-in-law, John Blanda, and their best friend, Howard Prestenberg, in a stone company startup called Intrepid. In a relatively short period of time, they went from doing any type of marble and granite stonework to interior and exterior high-rise. They became hugely successful. At its peak, Intrepid did about $50 million in business nationwide in natural stone high-rise construction. The basic staff in New Orleans consisted of about 100 associates, and Intrepid employed as many as 500 union workers.
Well, I decided in 1996 that I didn't want to bond or to continue working in the high-rise construction industry.
But GK wasn't finished with the stone business.
So we moved to Fairhope, Alabama, and opened up Stone Interiors, which was a single operation countertop, predominantly countertop, and installation of high-end tile work, marble and tile. And that was in 1997. And in 2001, we opened up Stone Interiors South Carolina. 2006, we opened up Stone Interiors New Orleans and Knoxville.
Today there are 3 stone interiors in which GK is involved. All are now individually owned, including the Gaston, South Carolina facility, owned by GK's son, Dwayne Naquin.
All 3 are still affiliated in close relationships that we do buying together, all of our accounting is done together, and we do quarterly meetings with our staff so that we can get the best practices going in all 3 locations. I'm actually the founder of all of them, and they call me the mascot, but I prefer founder.
While the first stone interiors were started in 1997, GK didn't embrace industry trade associations until 2002, when his good friend and former employee, Rich Booms, was MIA president. The two had a chat at Stone Expo in Atlanta. GK recalls the conversation.
And I said, Rich, you know, I've had a really good run, a good life in this industry. I said, it's really time that I start giving back to the industry. The industry's done so much for me and my family. And he says, well, great, I got some good things for you to do. Don't worry, we'll get you involved. I said, the things that I really would love is, number one, is education. Education is real important, that we pass on what we know in this industry. The second thing is we've got to have an accreditation. And those were the two major reasons that I came back into the MIA. We were members of the BSI with Intrepid for many years, and then we joined the MIA when it was Stone Interiors.
GK has been giving back ever since. GK talks about the evolution of the association's education program.
The first events that we had for many years, people were learning what type of saw should I have, what type of tool should I be running. They were learning how to become fabricators in our industry, but they didn't know what a profit and loss statement was, because the industry was going so well that they didn't need to know what the profits were. Everybody was making them.
GK says that a lot of the curriculum has changed because the makeup of the countertop business has matured.
Now we actually do a lot of education on the matrix on how to run a business. What does it take? How much flow through do you have in your shop? How much profit margins do you have? Because the profits margins in the 2006-07 years was great. Today the profit margins are very slim in our business. So in order to become a good, sustainable company, you have to know what those profit margins are.
GK says he's learned a lot more about the educational functions than he's able to give back.
Because by having a large crowd, you hear so much that I'm able to pass on to someone else.
GK says that a lot of his character was forged by his parents while growing up in rural Louisiana.
My father taught me loyalty, and my mother was just a fiery Italian Sicilian lady. When we couldn't find a baseball coach when I was in my 6 and 7 years old, my mother, who knew nothing about baseball, became our baseball coach. They always encouraged me to be a businessman, to be a leader.
Son Dwayne Naquin says his father taught him the right way to run a business.
You always tell the truth, you're always honest about what you do, and everything else kind of takes care of itself. You know, I didn't have any type of formal business degree. My background in college was computer science, but sitting at his side and learning the business side of things has been far better than anything I'd have learned in college on it, that's for sure. You know, I mean, he's always been my role model in this business. You know, you look at how he treats people, his former employees, where all those former employees have spread around the country today, the businesses they've founded, the success they've had. You know, in working with him myself, I see how he helped motivate them and help spur on their careers.
Looking back at the past dozen years, GK said one of the greatest achievements was the association's accreditation program. He hails Scott Lardner, with whom he co-chaired the residential program development, and Brett Rugo, who chaired the commercial side of it. He described it as a long and tedious process.
We had some really good minds in forming that, and we have a real good committee that we put together, and we rolled it out.
Today, he is still a great supporter of what is now MIA+BSI.
Two things that always strike me. Number one, if you're in an industry that you're making profit and you plan to build your life around, you should be part of an association that promotes that industry, that's responsive to that industry. Why would I be in any industry that I didn't support? Because it's going to support me. The second part of that is to make sure that we're in a leadership role.
MIA+BSI is pleased and proud to present the coveted Migliore Award for Lifetime Achievement to GK Naquin, a man of action and words who has redefined what giving back to an industry is all about.